the planet Earth.
Some call me nature.
I am very passionate about the planet
Earth.
A living, breathing planet capable of sustaining whatever life forms we see fit to deposit on it.
Spock, judging by the pollution content of the atmosphere, I believe we have arrived.
It's the planet stupid.
No. It's the planet stupid.
Our guide for It's the Planet Stupid, Belinda Waymouth, environmental journalist, just returning from a spectacular trip into the environment yourself. You were in the Grand Canyon?
Yes, we went to the Grand Canyon. We went to Sedona. I've been hiking, around Buttes. I've been going down into the Grand Canyon, looking at the muddy waters of the Colorado River. And just, really communing with nature. We had elk everywhere when we were in the Grand Canyon. It was just absolutely fantastic.
I was telling people, and we got your video and ran some of the videos and pictures. We're telling people you travel in that camper in this sort of, is solar powered or something, isn't it?
Yeah, we have solar power. It's called a Kimbo. It's designed by this really cool guy who's up, he's in Washington, just below the Canadian border. We got the 104th Kimbo off the production line. And it's super well designed. It has a maritime heater because we were in really cold. I mean, I didn't realize how cold the Grand Canyon was going to be. It snowed the first night, but we have this unbelievable heater inside. So we have that. And then, we have solar power. So that's how we are charging our devices so that we can be in contact with you. And, I could send in some updates of where we were. And
Did you had a cell service there? Is that how you were able to communicate? Is there internet or how does that work?
Yeah, we by cell. I mean, a lot of places that we were at, it was only, via the, cell service. Sure. But, then when you're, we take advantage of, we go into a Starbucks and, get on
right.
their internet. Or there was this hilarious one where we were in the Grand Canyon and there was this lodge and they said, you can get cell service over there. It's really, you can't get it. You can't get the internet here at the supermarket. So we go over to the lodge and I was at the desk and they said, no, you have to go to the cafe. And then the cafe was like, no, you have to go back to the front desk. And it was like, is there really cell service? Am I ever going to be connected?
When will she get tired of going back and forth? Which is the
it was really, you sort of had to be standing on a chair with your cell phone, and then, in the lobby. It was quite funny.
I mean, it's just so beautiful. And I was envious as I looked at your pictures. It's funny. I was looking at a lot of different things we might speak of today. And many of the things that I was looking at, you were also looking at, which always makes me feel good because I think that you're really on top of the stuff, even more than anyone I know. I don't know where you want to start, but I'm happy to start anywhere. There is a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Well, the thing that I think is really important, about the stories that we're going to discuss today is, who are making the decisions, who are making the really important decisions for us. And I don't think it's the right people. And, I'll describe the, two of the, well, actually there are three, because the one that happened on April Fool's Day in Tennessee, we just can't not cover that because it's so good. But so we've got Republican states who want to ban laboratory meat, meat that is made via stem cells in laboratories. And it's really to, and this is a chicken that was the first cultivated in a lab chicken that got FDA approval last year. And it's only available in a couple of restaurants. But you've got these Republican states, Alabama, Arizona, Tennessee, Florida, they're calling it, a war on ranching. They get straight to this, the vernacular, war, it's a war. Ron DeSantis calls it, part of this whole ideological agenda. And it's not, it's part of an agenda to, maintain life on Earth. Here's the thing. Food production creates 25 to 30% of global emissions. It is huge, Mark. I can't emphasize that enough. Shall I get closer to the camera and shake my head more? It's really a big one. And of that, 60% comes from meat. So we have to do something about it. And what's crazy is, we have all this technology that's happening in this country that, and you and I are totally, in agreement on also the ethical issues, the way we raise meat these days. It's not the way it used to be. These CAFOs, these concentrated, animal feeding operations are, that you see as you go up the 5 freeway here, are cruel and inhumane, and we shouldn't be doing this to animals. And the problem is that when you get politicians saying, okay, we're going to ban it. I mean, in Alabama and Arizona, they're going to fine you if you sell this meat. The chicken so far, like I said, only available in a couple of restaurants. But these states are moving, they're going to, fine, restaurants or supermarkets that sell it. And, this is a crazy direction to be going in. It's also happened in the EU, which I was kind of, I don't want it to be happening in the EU, but it makes me feel better about what's happening in America. But the EU also, so what happened was, it's called diversified protein intake. That's what they call this lab-grown meat. And it was one of the levers that they were going to be using. Look, I used American lever. I didn't say lever. I did that for you, Mark. So it was one of the levers that they were going to be using to get to their goals for cutting emissions by 2040. But across Europe, farmers rose up, they protested, and they said, no, we need to traditionally farm. And so now you've got Italy saying, okay, any restaurant or any business that sells this, lab meat will be fined 60,000 euros. On the flip side of this, guess who's going great guns with the meat? China. They are absolutely embracing this technology, and they see it as, the future. And what policy experts here are saying is how crazy to let, Asia take the lead when we are poised to be could be the leaders in this technology.
And this is so interesting because OCB is saying China's the biggest meat producer, but the reality is that, and by the way, I think, that two things can be true, that they are the biggest meat producer, and they could also be out in front on this lab-grown meat. And I think that China has the kind of consumer population that's so vast that both those things can coexist.
Yeah. And this is what transition looks like, is you have both,
Sure.
plates in the air at the same time. And this is sensible, because the other thing is, as policy experts say, this is going to be a huge, national security issue, food production. As the planet gets hotter, as it gets harder to, grow crops, raise animals, as it gets harder for human workers to be outside and to be tending those crops. I mean, we have this thing now in the summer here in the Central Valley. It's too hot for workers to be outside. It's inhumane, there were signs all over the Grand Canyon, telling us, like, once it gets to 105 degrees, you're going to, your brain is going to fry. You've got to be super duper careful. And obviously it wasn't those temperatures when we were there when it was snowing and cold. But this, hot temperatures are super bad for human beings. So this, these politicians who, the thing that makes me, the thing that's frustrating is we've got these elected officials, judges and politicians, who are making these important policy decisions, and they are not environmentally savvy. They should not be the ones in charge. We should be looking to experts right now. We just had this thing happen. I'm going to transition now over to natural gas, or is there anything?
Yeah. But before you get toward the transition, I just want to spend just 1 second saying, because I'm seeing this in the chat, that I'm waiting for California. This is the kind of attitude Randy says. I'm waiting for California to ban the sale and consumption of meat in the state. I mean, I get it, that the notion somehow that, you guys who, you want lab-grown meat now. I mean, why is lab-grown meat a bad thing, Randy? Why do you somehow draw that connection between some ban on meat? I mean, I understand the general proposition, which is, well, meat's bad for the environment, raising meat is bad for the environment. So maybe, and Randy's a very smart guy. I mean, I get long emails. He's not just some crackpot. And but the idea somehow that you're all of a sudden going to ban choice or ban this is, I think, where they go to make the argument, the absurdist argument that this is all a battle on your plate and what you can have in your plate and on your choice. But the thing that speaks to what you're talking about, Belinda, and then I'll let you move on, is the fact that many of these politicians and legislative bodies are trying to essentially take care of their constituents. So their constituents, many of them are farmers. So they are looking to do battle with anything that might take a chunk out of those farmers. It's the same way that Trump, when he took power, you'll recall, he embraced dirty energy, and he wanted coal producers to not only get additional tax incentives and special protections and even subsidies of all sorts that he was introducing, but he wanted to penalize alternative energy, solar energy and wind energy, et cetera. So that was all an effort just to prop up what was a dying business. There is inevitability to this that is being propped up by these legislative bodies that are just trying to take care of their constituencies, and it's big ag. Honestly, it's money that they're taking care of.
Yeah, absolutely. But in taking care of those constituents, they're not taking care of their constituents who want the choice to be able to choose. Do I want to eat traditionally grown meat, or do I care enough about what's going on, and am I concerned enough that I want to eat meat that's been grown in a lab as an alternative? And that's the argument against what these Republicans are doing, is that you really need to leave it up to the consumers. They need to have the choice.
And you see this too. Mars says raising meat ain't wrong for the environment. It's a new human experiment after thousands of years of hunting and eating meat. I don't get that. Again, that's like trying to put a good face on it, maybe. I don't know. I mean, certainly after all this time, you can see the industrialized farming that is done. You can't see Mars. You can't see the downside of that. It seems so clear.
Look, everyone, when they find out I'm from New Zealand, is super excited. And I had someone yesterday saying, oh, pure New Zealand, pure New Zealand. Well, New Zealand ain't so pure right now because we have so many dairy cattle that are peeing in our waterways, that we've got this unbelievable eutrophication happening in lakes, in the ocean, where the rivers come out full of this, nitrate heavy water. And so tourists are arriving in New Zealand and expecting pure, beautiful green New Zealand, and going to a lake they want to swim in, or this gorgeous river that I swam in as a kid. You can't go in it now because of the eutrophication, because of all the cattle. It's the magnitude of it. And no one is saying, hey, you can't have traditionally, raised meat. We're just saying, have this alternative and make this industry right-sized for the planet. We have to get right-sized for the size of the planet we're on. And right now what we have are these industries that are too big and too industrialized. And, it's not helping us.
And the last word on this, I would say, is what's amazing to me is I would think this would be greeted with excitement. I mean, this is unreal. This changes everything. It feeds everyone forever. It does it without cruelty, without suffering. It does it without the environmental impact. You'd think it would be great, but no, it is getting insane pushback from those who are parts of legislative bodies and even just the body politic. It's like, no, it's just like, don't tell me I want it's old school. We're so loath to push away from those beliefs which we've clung to and lifestyles that we've clung to for so long.
Yeah. And look, I have absolute sympathy with people who feel threatened by change. And we've talked about it before. Psychologically, human beings, we're not good with change. But here's the thing. We're on a cushion that is getting thinner, and it's going to be easier to maneuver while we have this cushion of time. But, newsflash, once that cushion gets down to, something paper thin, ding dong, that ain't no cushion. When our backs are against the wall, it's going to be more difficult to make these changes. So what I see, and what I find, difficult to, be watching is that, that cushion is getting thinner, and this is our opportunity to make these changes. And there are so many people who are, doing this stuff. We've talked about, the casein that they're now making in a fermentation process so we can make, mozzarella cheese and have delicious pizzas, but, not have this, really intense dairying going on, which I've just described to you as ruining beautiful, pure green New Zealand. So it's really, it's crunch time, and I'm not saying, completely abolish one, but, get one right-sized with the, how big the planet is, and, how much water there is, how much resources, how much methane can we afford, cows to be, burping into the atmosphere.
Great point. All right, moving on. So we spent too much time on that. I'm not helping you because I'm jumping on board and making it longer. So go ahead.
No. no, it's totally fine. So the other thing that's happened, which is, I just think, this is crazy. So the California Restaurant Association went after Berkeley's bill. Berkeley was the first city that banned gas piping, hookups into new homes. And they did this because, the way we heat our homes, that is responsible for 13% of our global emissions. And as we know, natural gas, methane and ethane is 24 times stronger than CO2 as a greenhouse gas. So it's really important. And when Berkeley did this, 140 other US cities and local governments also banned the hookup of natural gas into new buildings. And I was thinking about the Restaurant Association because, so it got overturned by 3 judges on the 9th District, US Court of Appeals. The Berkeley bill was written in such a way that they were able to overturn it. Berkeley has said it's halted immediately. They will repeal it. It will be gone. Other places say our bills against natural gas are stronger. We think we'll be able to fight it. All over the US, it's being fought by, the restaurant industry, home builders, and of course, natural gas industry. But will those restaurateurs, when, say cut to, 20, 30 years in the future where it's so hot, people only want to eat salad and not, flambé this, sauté that, will they rue the day that they fought against natural gas? Because here's the other thing, I'm always bleating on about my induction stove. It is faster than gas. It's faster than the usual electric. Everyone said, okay, but induction stoves, induction top, first of all, it didn't have the visual that you get with natural gas. And that's what chefs love. Well, it does have a visual now. It has a red, I know when I've got it cranked up to max because I have a big red line that tells me that. I mean, it's not a flame, but I can tell, that I'm flaming it. So,
yeah.
It's like just, I mean, look, see, you can see that part is on, the max. So, come on, guys. I mean, it's, it's.
I get it. We're visual and all this. And again, it's like, as you say, change is tough, but this apparently it works really well. I don't have it yet. I hear about it through you, and I really would love to get it going.
No, I am. And also now because of the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act. Thank you, President Biden. You can get all these rebates on all these energy efficient appliances. If you want to put in, the heat pump. If you want to put in a, induction stove. So, make the most of it while you can. But I just have to, there was one. So here we've got, the policy being decided by, politicians who aren't environmentally savvy and these judges. But we had this classic on April Fool's Day. Tennessee banned geoengineering. So a Republican led, state legislature said, okay, no more geoengineering. What is geoengineering? Geoengineering is modifying the atmosphere to try and combat climate change. But what was crazy were they weren't facts, were the fictions that they were bringing up to justify it. So chemtrails, they were alluding to chemtrails and the chemtrail conspiracy, which says that condensation trail you see coming out of those jet engines, hey guys, that's not condensation. That is actually government chemicals that are being sprayed on us to control our behavior and alter our bodies. That's what they alluded to. I mean, there was a Democrat who said, okay, it's Sasquatch, we're ruining his environment. I mean, it was kind of wild that it happened on Monday, April 1st, but they banned geoengineering. And here's the thing about geoengineering. So very nascent technology. And, it is happening because we have all these other industries that refuse to change. So scientists and innovators are going, okay, we have to cool the planet down. Right now, Iceland, and this was on the front page of the New York Times on Sunday, they are just hoovering, they're just sucking the CO2 out of the atmosphere and storing it underground. And they have this volcanic rock that it can adhere to. So they're doing that. In the San Francisco Bay right now, we have a ship that has, it's a really crazy looking device. Oh, I should have sent you the link to it. But they are shooting up aerosols And the aerosols, so it's water and it has salt in it, and they're shooting it up. Basically, it's called cloud brightening. So you send up this aerosol to clouds that are over the ocean, and it makes the clouds whiter, and it's so that they will reflect more of the sunlight and the heat back out into the atmosphere, and it will slow down heating on the planet. And why is all this geoengineering happening? It's happening because we won't stop, using fossil fuels, eating meat that gets grown. There it is.
It's just interesting because the resistance to it was extreme in this Tennessee, lawmakers vote. The idea somehow then that, okay, well, let me just review. So you're not for any changes in fossil fuel consumption. You're not for any alternative energy, like wind or solar. You're not for electric vehicles of any kind that would maybe reduce on some level the footprint, although that electricity has to come from somewhere. You're not for this geoengineered meat. You're not for, so I see you. So you're not really for any change at all. You're not for new emission standards. This is all, I think, applicable in Tennessee where this is coming out. And you're not for geoengineering. So what are you for? I mean, you keep looking to the science community to get you out of this. But then when the science community comes up with something, you guys go, no. I like my life exactly the way I have it.
Yeah.
It's they're going to have to be some choices made.
Yeah, this is the thing, and I can't stress it enough. We have this, the cushion, the window. It's open right now, but it's closing. The cushion is going down to paper thin. We need to embrace some of these changes. Yes, we always do it kicking and screaming, but the longer we take, the more painful it will be, and the hotter the planet will be. And that just doesn't seem like smart thinking, and it's really not taking care of your constituents. That's the thing that
it's taking care of the moneyed constituents, which is really what it is. But Mars says this: even if we stop, how can we outweigh the pollution from countries like China and India without regulation? Again, we can look at China. This is a very old school way of looking at it. I'm not saying you're wrong, Mars, but I would say that look at China and India and you will see innovation there. They are not just consumers. They are not just polluters. They are those things. They're definitely polluters, okay? No question about it. But they're also making innovation. And Belinda just noted one of the ways that China is really out in front on some of this stuff. So I don't know. I think you can't paint China and India as just polluters anymore without at least acknowledging the fact they're out in front on green stuff as well.
Oh yeah, the stuff that's happening in those two countries as far as small electric vehicles, three-wheeled vehicles, small cars, motorcycles. I mean, the innovations that are happening there, that replaceable battery, so you drive in with your tuk-tuk and, you don't have to wait for your battery to charge. There's a recharged one that they let you, swap out your used battery for, and away you go. So you don't lose 1 minute of business time. I mean, all that stuff is, and also because of the huge populations there. Yes, India does have some terribly dirty coal that they're still burning. But the other thing is, the more we show leadership here, the more bargaining power we have with those two, hugely populated countries. So, yes, it swings and roundabouts. It's a really difficult moment in human history, but we have to make reality our friend. We really do.
We have to respond in some way. Really quickly, Edward is asking, Belinda, what's worse, air travel or eating meat?
Meat.
I'm sorry. Meat.
Yeah,
exactly.
meat.
It's not even close.
Yeah. The air travel is responsible for 3% of global emissions, and our food is way bigger. And meat, as I was explaining before, 60% of the 30% of total emissions. So almost 2/3 of if we're looking at 30%, 20% is coming from meat. So yeah, cutting down on meat, huge, absolutely huge.
So Belinda, I have to wrap up here pretty quickly. Is there one last thing you want to give us on the way out? I think.
Well, I do always like to talk about positive stuff, but we should talk about geoengineering next week, just because of all these things that are happening, that kind of are good because they are going to, get the CO2 out. But also, I mean, there's a lot that goes with it. But let's look at that next week because that's
I
a
love
big
it
one.
because, as you suggested, the New York Times did a big piece on it, and it was really quite impressive. And the whole idea that, and you touched on it before, this sequestration that can take place, carbon sequestration. I'm anxious to have you speak of that as well. Great to have you back. Welcome back, Belinda Waymouth, everybody. Thanks, Belinda. It's the Planet Stupid for today.
More
It's the planet stupid. No, it's the planet stupid.
next time, only on The Mark Thompson Show.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.